hopefully whatever was going on is it working? Ah, finally we're live. Okay, whatever was going on was causing all sorts of problems, so hopefully this will work now. I'm not quite sure what was happening, but I had set up a stream for a specific time, and when I tried to go into the stream it just caused all sorts of chaos. And I don't know what was going on. Alright, so what I need to do now, I'm just talking you through this because otherwise you'll be watching me doing stuff on the keyboard. I'm just going to now what's going on? Everything's frozen up again. Okay, here we go. I've been having a lot of problems with Safari since I upgraded. And now I seem to have 2 live streams. I don't quite know what's going on here. Oh, goodness me. This has become so complicated all of a sudden for no reason. I now apparently have 2 streams running, which is going to overheat my computer. Goodness me. I will edit this bit out. It's still saying I have 2 streams running and I don't know why. And now it's not telling me that there's anyone in this stream and there's lots of people in the other stream, but I only have 1 stream going. Oh my goodness. This is extremely annoying. Ah! Ren. I'm here. Here, even. Other people seem to be having a few problems and I don't know why. I can't... Oh. Penelope, you can see me and hear me now. Excellent. I'm still having issues with my stream because YouTube is telling me that there's 2 streams. But my streamer is telling me that there's only 1. And regardless of which I look at, everything is so behind. I really can't tell. Yeah, a lot of people were getting a messed up stream and I don't know why. Currently it's on orange, which says some viewers may be experiencing minor issues. I don't know why you would be experiencing minor issues. So let me try and switch cameras and hopefully the stream will get better. Oh. I did try to use Ustream earlier, but unfortunately Ustream... Right, when you can see the owl, let me know in chat, please, so I know it's switched over. I did try to use Ustream earlier, but neither of my cameras were picked up by Ustream at all. It wasn't having any of it. It didn't like it. Didn't want to play. No, 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 no. Not happening, basically. You see the owl. Fantastic. Okay, we can get started. Hopefully everybody else will find us. There's only 3 people here and there were 9 people in the other one, so hopefully people will find us. And just keep refreshing until they get there. I'm just going to tweet that you need to join the news stream. Sorry about this. Technical issues. When you set it all up and in testing it works fine. And then the minute you go live, it's all, oh no, we can't do that, can't do that. Green screen, green screen. It's a bit annoying. Okay. So. Are any of you in my witchy group? If you are, could you put up the new URL for this stream in the Facebook group, please, if you know how to do that? Okay. Janet, hi. Oh no, you got hacked. Oh, that's awful. There's a lot of people been having that problem. I think everything's good now. Yes, we've got a lot of people coming back in. Tracy and Tracy still aren't here. So if anybody sees Tracy Fox or Tracy Reinhardt about, can you nudge them? They may need to come over to the new stream. I literally had to close everything down and start again. But I am using Safari, and I wonder if that's causing some of the problems. Maybe I'll try Chrome next time. Although Tracy was using Chromecast. I know she uses Chromecast to watch me on the TV, so I don't know what was going there. Anyway, let's get on. I'm only on for 2 hours, and hopefully everybody will catch up with us. So today, it's working now. Excellent. Let me just double check the face cam. If I swap to the face cam, does it still work? Oh dear. I'm just texting Tracy F. Foxy to come to the new stream, because once she makes it to the new stream, she's the admin for the group, my other admin for the group, so she'll be able to get anybody who's not here yet over here, and we'll all be able to start, and oh goodness me. Yeah, it is recorded, Bren, so you can catch it later, but I'm on till 8 here, so I'm on for another hour and 50 minutes. Cute hair, yeah. It's grown a lot. It's grown a lot. Because it was shaved at the sides, and now look at it. I had it shaved to a number 2 back in July. And it was only long on top where I put my dreads in. But I want to put my dreads in all over again, so I'm trying to grow it out, which is why I've been wearing wigs a lot. But it was a nice day today, so I washed all my wigs and put them out on the line. So I don't have a wig to wear today. Oh, right. Hello to everybody who's joined us. I'm going to switch back over to the overhead cam now, and let's get going. Right, today is a little bit different to what I normally do, because I'm actually trying to, let's see if this works. I haven't put my dreads in yet. I've got to change my colour. I'm going back to pink. but I can't put my dreads in until it grows a bit more. It needs to grow about another inch. So another couple of weeks I'll be able to put them in. Tracy Reinhardt got here. Excellent. So we're just waiting for Foxy. Oh, I have to remember that the camera's over there now, because hopefully this is working. I've got to keep an eye on my PC, on my Mac, to make sure it doesn't overheat, but I think it'll be okay. Right. The reason for the extra camera over here, which I may have to turn off, I'll see how it goes, is because I've had several people have come to me, which I already knew about, but I had forgotten when I started doing live streams again, that I have several students who are deaf, and quite a few of them are lip readers. And of course you can't lip read if all you can see is somebody talking like this view, if you're looking down all the time. So I thought if I put a camera there, even if I'm looking down, they should still be able to see me. So even if I forget that the camera's there and I should be looking at it, or if I'm working on something, they should still be able to see what I'm saying. Because as someone who is partially deaf myself, and with several partially deaf friends, I do understand the issues of, especially beauty gurus. Oh my God, they drive me nuts. They buy things and they go, and behind the book, they're telling you all about the book and what they've got and what it is and how it works and everything else. But unfortunately, it's in front of their face, so you have no idea what they're saying. So, right, if you are in chat and you want to say something directly to me, like ask a question or something like that, please put it in caps so that I will see it. All right. Little bit of a Halloween haul for you. This is a Witchy Wednesday. Now, I want to start Witchy Wednesday by saying I do not teach witchcraft, okay? I teach how to make a spiritual book of some sort. So if you're a pagan and you have a book of shadows, or even if you're a Christian and you have a Bible journal of something, you know, all these techniques can be used the same way. It's just using spirituality to create some kind of a book or journal, or, you know, write about what you're reading or something like that. So why are we starting with a colouring book? Because it's cute. Colouring books are all the rage at the moment, but of course I don't do colouring books like everybody else does colouring books. I did get the steampunk one. I purchased this for a friend and I was just so impressed with it. I really liked it. These Creative Haven ones are very good. Hi, Scraps. Oh, is that Ash? Have I just made a connection there? Scraps, Buttons and Bows, are you Ash? I think you might be. It gets very confusing because people use their real names in Google Plus and they use their other names in Ustream, and they use other names in Twitter, and I'm like, I'm just roaming everywhere. Okay, so I bought this as a birthday present for a friend of mine. It's one of the Creative Haven books. They also do the steampunk books, and the thing I love about these books is that they are single-sided. So you can take these out, they're perforated along here, so you don't even destroy your book. You can take them out, you can scan them in if you want to, reprint them smaller if it's too big for your book. You can keep them in here, you can colour them, you can take them out and put them on a board and watercolour them. You can take them out and use Copics without destroying the rest of your book. It's fantastic. Now, all of the books that I've got here, I can see somebody already asking, where did you get it? Where did you get it? I buy everything either on eBay or Amazon, okay? But if you go to my website, I will put the link here. It is romany.org.uk/blog/a-store, I think. Or you can just go to romany.org.uk and it will take you to the front page and you can click on A-store in the top right. Now, that is only for UK and EU, and it's basically my associates link. So if you purchase something, if you purchase anything through Amazon and you use my A-store to do it, then I get a little, like, 0.002% or something. I get about 2p for every 100 sales or something ridiculous. If you're in the US, go to Journal Artista's page, journalartista.com. It's Paula, She has an A store, and that's for US. My A store is only for the UK and EU. I don't yet know anybody who's got a Canadian one or an Australian one. So anyway, the owls colouring book I picked up because a friend of mine loves owls and it's her birthday soon, and I just wanted to see it. And I looked at the designs and they're amazing. They are absolutely amazing. I just love them. Here be owls. So they've all got different themes, and if you're a shamanic type, or you just love owls or anything like that, and you want to decorate your book of shadows but you can't draw, which is rubbish, everybody can draw, it's just a matter of practice, but if you would rather colour than draw, there's a beautiful one, Owl in the Moon. Isn't that lovely? You could take these out and use them, cut around them, whatever, put them in your book, or you could even scan them and print them out smaller if you've got a smaller book. I mean, obviously, this wouldn't even fit in my book. But the owl itself, you could cut the owl itself out around here, and that would fit. So it's just a case of being a little bit creative with it without going crazy. And there's a sample of what it can look like once you've coloured it in. That looks like it. Let's see if it's because I've got two streams going. So hopefully it'll come back up for you, and it should restart in a minute. No, Mercury retrograde finished a couple of days ago. It passed me by. Maybe it's come back for a second look. I've had to turn my camera off. So sorry to my hearing impaired people. I'm going to have to find another way of doing that. Yes. Okay, so as I was saying, you could print it out onto sticker paper and, you know, turn it into a sticker that way and cut it out. So that's a really good idea. I also have this one because, obviously, you know, everybody's doing felt. Oh, the little book. It'll turn up. I get another subscription. It's called Magical Times, and they run a website all on their own. So you can look them up. Magical Times. It's a fantastic little book. Comes out quarterly, and oh, it's amazing. Beautiful pictures in it. Awesome information, but you can get it international, but obviously I don't know how much the postage would be or anything like that. My computer's heating up a little bit again, so it's possible that it might stop again for some reason, but hopefully not. This is another magazine that I get. Again, it's only available in the UK, I think. Spirit and Destiny, but if you're in the UK, it's pretty good. It's like Women's Weekly for the paganly inclined, I guess. Tends to have a lot of stuff about natural food and yoga and, you know, angels. I don't know what angels have got to do with paganism, but there you go. As you can see, I tear bits out of mine and keep it, but this has got a whole series of the different moons and when they are, and the different meanings and the spirits and little mini spells and all that kind of stuff. So you get something like this in every one. I don't have another one to show you because I have put them all in the box ready for Tracy when she comes down. So there's that one. And I also like this one, The Simple Things, again a UK magazine. $4.99 on the shelf, but if you buy it on their website, if you subscribe, it works out a lot cheaper. And again, I use this mostly for collage fodder, but it's very much about natural living, if you like. Simple stuff. Oh, I like that crow. Crows keep showing up for me. Crows seem to be showing up for me a lot. And I am due for my totem animal to change. I'm seeing fewer elephants and more crows. Tends to change around Halloween and then become more influential around Imbolc. So this is like harvesting and the wheel of the year and stuff like that. Living in the woods, making spices and pumpkins, all about pumpkins. A couple of recipes. It's a really good magazine and it's got some lovely pictures in, as you can see. Even something like this, you know, that's an advert, but it's a really good design. I'm sure I could use it for something. This one happens to have some old advert types in it, which I love. I love this kind of thing. Vintage adverts is just right up my street. So most of these will either get... I'll probably cut one out, cut out one side and scan the other side so I can print it. So yeah, these are really cool. How to learn stuff if you're not used to going to school and learning things. Hi, Ave. Oh, well, I'm here for about another hour and a half. I'm going to be here until about 8. So there you go. Pretty, pretty. So that's the simple things. And all of these, if you go to like the simplethings.co.uk, spiritanddestiny.co.uk, magicaltimes.co.uk, they're all, you know, they're all English magazines. They're really easy to find. So what I've also got this week is Anna, Mrs. Brimbles, very kindly sent me some of the stuff from her subscription box, because obviously her subscription box, her latest one, is a Halloween one. And she said, you know, I know you don't, because I stopped getting her subscription boxes for review back in June when I was moving and everything else. And I said, look, it's just too much hassle for both of us at the moment. So give my subscription review thing to somebody else to have a go with. So I haven't been getting them. But she did save me a few bits and pieces and sent me. So I've got kind of a combination, I think, of things. She had already sent me in a housewarming gift these. I think these are by October Afternoon, is it called? Autumn Afternoon, October Afternoon, something like that. Tuesday Afternoon, I don't know. Anybody know? These are really cool. As you can see, I've used some of them already. But there's stars and Halloweens and pumpkins and tickets and little specimen labels, potion bottles, keys, patterns, Halloween dates, potion books, you know, all that kind of stuff. Pumpkin heads, the kind of thing that you could use in your book of shadows to decorate a page if it's looking a little bit dismal. Even something simple like this, you can use these for titles for pages, or to just put extra information on. Perhaps like something like this, maybe you were doing a page on tinctures and how to make a specific tincture, and you had all the list of herbs that you were going to use, and in this box you could put the Latin name of each of the herbs just to draw attention to it, set it apart. You know, instead of like drawing it in a box, put it on one of these. So yeah, these are really cool. I love them. Percival's Potions and Botanicals. It's like, these remind me of, like, if you went shopping in Diagon Alley, these are the cards that you'd get from the different, like, oleanders wands and things like that. I just think it's really cool. There's bits and pieces like bats. There were several bats, but obviously I've used those. Some more stars. And it's all in black and white and cream and newsprint and things like that. So that's very cool. And she had already sent me that. And then she sent me these to go with it from the subscription box. So she sent me the 2 washi tapes in black and gold. So you've got the gold chevrons and the black stripes. Black and gold stripes, which is nice because I don't have any gold actually. I don't tend to buy gold. So it's nice to have something different. Got this awesome Were Rabbit pumpkin book tag thing. Look at that. Does that not just look like the rabbit from, what's it called? Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were Rabbit. He's awesome, isn't he? And then I've got these witch pins. I think they're self-adhesive, yeah. These are self-adhesive. They're not like pins that you put on bags or something. If they were, they would already be on my bag because they're awesome. Hi, Blue Ruff. Then she sent me these 2 cards. One's from her Brimbles box and one's just a note from her, which is pretty cool. And these are awesome. I think she sent me some other stuff, but I can't find all of it because obviously I was excited and I went, woohoo, Halloween stuff, and opened it and started using it because I do that. Oh, she sent me this. Jack Skellington. He jingles. It's like the bit... Well, it sounds like a Christmas bell, doesn't it? To me. So it's like the bit where he's in Christmas land. But I've got it on my phone because I'm sad like that. And I couldn't decide whether to turn it into one of these or a necklace, so she offered to send me another one to turn into a necklace. Oh, she also sent me these, and I've used some of them already, as you can see, the stickers. I think I've got... yeah, that one was here. It was one long piece, and I cut it up. And it says, when witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers 'tis near Halloween. Because, of course, being October, absolutely everything in my journal right now is Halloween themed, right? Even my... See, there's another raven. My bookmarks have got a raven and a hatchet. And then this one, this is the sticker that was there, but I wrote on it. So that was very cool. And these are like tabs and things. It's got treats, costumes, decorations, all sorts of little words and things. Very cool. October Afternoon. There you go. I knew it was something afternoon. They're from October Afternoon. That's where my die cuts are from as well. These. Don't forget, if you're asking me a question and you want me to see it, make sure you put it in capitals or I won't see it because I'm not keeping an eye on chat. These are Project Life cards, and they are actual Project Life cards from Becky Higgins, and this is the American Crafts Halloween set. So these are rather cool. And the thing I like about this set is that instead of having... Usually they've got 2 designs, and you get 4 cards of each design, and they've all got the same thing on, or they've got different things, and you want to use both sides or neither side. But these are 2 identical cards. So you could use one that way and one that way, or you can... I quite often use them as tip-ins. But almost all of them are a design on the front and journaling cards on the back. So I don't know if that's normal for Becky Higgins. I haven't had a Becky Higgins set before. But these are pretty awesome. We've got Hocus Pocus, we've got a pumpkin with a grid, Boo with another grid and a number 31, antique vintage Halloween stripes with a grid, damask wallpaper with another grid and a date thing. Dots and stickers. Oh, that's cool, with the pumpkin and spider's webs. I like that one. Well, I like all of them. I haven't found one I don't like yet. Seems to do a lot of grids in this one. Almost all the journaling cards are grids. Hocus Pocus. Hands up if that's your favourite film. What I love about Halloween. Lots and lots and lots of tiny little spiders. I don't like real life spiders very much. I'm not a big fan, especially the big ones, but I quite like the decorations. More grids. Trick or treat. And some, oh, lines. Little skulls. And some grids. This is so spooky. Happy Halloween. Old face, typeface, and some lines. October 31st. And some lines. Please check one. Trick or treat. Another trick or treat style, Happy Halloween, and some orange spots with October 31st and like an airmail thing. So that's really cool, I like those. And the bigger cards are, I'll just flip through them this way so you can see what's on them. I think these are all different. Oh, that's very Beetlejuice. Now see, that annoys me because I would love to use that and that, but they're back to back, so I can't. Date one, a grid, more grids, grids and spiders webs, grids and dots, grids and dates, grids and stripes. So that's a really cool set. I really like that, and I may well put that to use in my Book of Shadows. The plainer ones, obviously, not all the trick or treat ones. That would be a bit. Those I'll use in my journal. And then I found these. Now, these are not the ones that I ordered, but they're kind of cute. I'm going to see if I can get the other ones. The other ones were like black with damask silver skulls all over them. They're obviously very popular because they were sold out. So I'm going to see if I can find some more. But these are rather cute anyway. These are nasty napkins. I got these in Asda. And I really like the colours. I just think they're really cool. They're unusual for Halloween. They're kind of right, but they're kind of not. So that would be quite cool for using on a journal page. And they are several ply, so you can pull them apart and make them transparent. So those are cool. And I also picked up these. Because it was only £1. It's 3 different types of tape. Fright tape. So you've got Enter If You Dare, Caution Zombies, and Haunted Keep Out. I thought those would be kind of cool for using all sorts of stuff. So there you go, that's my Halloween haul. Oh, and the most important one. Oh my goodness. Got to show you this one, haven't I? Now, how am I going to show you this? I think it's easy to switch. Yeah, it should come back in a second. Yeah, it's come back now. So, as I was saying, my awesome crow. Watch this. Watch his eyes. I'm such a child. One of his eyes goes purple and like rainbow. And the other one, this eye, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but this eye is red. And he's got a switch underneath. So he's motion censored as well, so if you walk past, he kicks off. He's great, isn't he? I'll switch his sensor off because it's quite annoying when you're filming and all of a sudden, wah, wah, wah. He's got like 3 different calls. Everybody keeps saying, does he say nevermore? I'm like, no, he's not that cool, not for a tenner. But he is cool. I like him because I am that child. Okay, we're back again. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I think the... No, okay, bye Tracy, thanks for coming. I think how like Golden has golden tutors who demo the products and stuff like that and show you how to use them. Well, it's kind of like that, but it's for deco arts. Which is obviously geared towards not professional artists. It's more towards people like us. Well, I'm a professional artist, but oh, okay. Bye, Ave. Thanks for coming. it's aimed towards people like yourselves who might be doing journal art or whatever but aren't necessarily professional artists. And I need to find a baggie to put this in because it's full of these, and if Miss Maddie sees these she'll start eating them. So anyway, basically what it means is I get to try out lots of products and then show you guys how they work and give you my informed opinion on them. And I am allowed to say, I don't think this is worth the money, or I do think this one is, or whatever. I'm just trying to unpack everything while I chat. I tried to get some basics that I thought would be good for people on a budget. Because I am going to get the complete, well not the complete set because there's like 200 odd colours, but I am going to get a good set of the Americana paints. If you're on a very strict budget, you can get the, what are they called? Crafters Acrylic, which is actually a lot easier to get in the UK. The Crafters Acrylic is more readily available because I don't think they've done the official American launch here yet. But yeah, I've got a few different things to try out and I'm just getting them out of the box so I don't have to keep rummaging. I think that's everything. So let me show you what I've got. Now at some point I will be doing, oh let's put my craft knife away before I kill somebody with it. At some point I will be doing some tutorials or something with this stuff. I want to give it a go and show you, like, without playing first, I want to show you straight away this is what it can do. So I have got there's that one. It looks like I've got a lot of stuff, but I've got duplicates because when I do the class stuff I will be doing giveaways. So I've got 2 of everything here. These are really great value if you just want a set of cool stuff to do things with, basically. And these are a couple of the different products. Now, I am being given these products to try and review and play with, okay? But they're not paying me for this. I'm simply having the products, playing with them, showing you how they work. And if I recommend them, then I will recommend them. And if I say, no, actually, something else is better, then I will tell you that. I'm not going to recommend something that is not worth it. But I do know that the Americana paints are very good. And if you're on a budget, because they are quite expensive, or they're expensive as craft paints go, the Crafters Acrylic is basically 2 coats of the Crafters Acrylic will give you what the Americana would in 1 coat. But the Crafters Acrylic is like, you can get them for £1.50, £1.75, up to about £3. Even on eBay, they're really easy to get, but there's only 94 colours. Whereas the Americana range, there's hundreds of colours, and they're about £4 or £5 each. So they really are a little bit more than your average craft paint. They're more for people who do it on a regular basis and are really art journalists as opposed to just crafters. But if you wanted to try them, I thought this was a really good option. This is a set of the Americana Deco Art multi-surface satin colours, and there's 16 colours in here. So I thought these would be good for trying out in our Book of Shadows. There's a good range of colours. You've got the primary colours. You've basically got the standard colours that you normally get, plus a few mixers. So you've got your black and grey, 2 types of brown, a warm brown and a cool brown, a mauve, a dark blue, medium blue and a turquoise, a dark and light green, a yellow and orange, a red, 2 shades of pink, one is more blue and one is more flesh toned, and a white. And these are acrylic paints. Now these ones happen to be for indoor and outdoor use. I don't know if all the Americana ones are. I've only just started gathering the information. I will let you know when I get my proper Americana paints through if they are multi-surface, but these are weatherproof apparently. So if you wanted to do little, what they call stones, you know, when you draw on pebbles and you do little mandalas on stones, or, you know, little totem rocks and things like that, and put them on an external altar, they should, I mean, they're not going to be completely weatherproof, but once you use them, you can put on a bit of weatherproof varnish, and they should last sort of a year to 18 months, I would have thought. I mean, obviously I don't know that for certain, but I haven't even read the back of it to see exactly how long they're supposed to last. But these are the opaque ones for use outside or dishwasher safe glass and ceramics. Clean with alcohol, apply paint, allow to cure for 4 to 5 days, and then preheat in an oven and bake for 30 minutes. So in order to make them weatherproof and everything, you set them and cure them. But just as a normal paint, you can just use them on glass and on paper and cards and all that. But you can also use them on glass and things. So I thought that was a really good all-round set for anybody who's looking to try some of the deco art paints but isn't willing to buy the Americanas at the price they are. And along the same lines, I got these. Now these, I'm going to do a Halloween tutorial and a Christmas tutorial. This is the seasonal sparkles and the spooky sparkles. So these are basically glitter paint, water-based acrylic, clean up with soap and water, and they are paint with glitter in it, which is obviously one of my favourite things. The spooky sparkles, this is like, it's black, it's like a gel kind of colour. It's kind of like a milky gel with sparkles in it, so I assume it dries clear, but this is black with turquoise and lime green and purple. This is purple with lime green and silver. This is lime green with gold and turquoise. Orange with silver and holographic. Hot pink with turquoise and silver, and a white holographic one. They probably won't pick up on camera, but they are super sparkly. It'll be interesting to see if they translate to paper. So that's for the Halloween one. And then this is for the seasonal one. So of course we've got, these are just plain glitters, these. They've just got silver in them, as far as I can tell. This is gold and silver, this is silver. This is forest green with a little bit of silver. This is very similar to this one actually, except it hasn't got the turquoise in it. It's green and yellow, but it hasn't got the turquoise. This is red with a little bit of silver, and this is holographic again, so it's the same as this one. So again, if you're looking to decorate your bits and pieces for your Mabon altar, or you want to do some pretty designs in your colouring books to put in your book of shadows or anything like that, do a few little seasonal decorations. These are a really good, cheap way of getting a few of the paints to try out, or just getting a few nice paints to play with. Because some of these glitter paints, they come in larger pots and they can be really expensive. I've seen some of the different brands of glitter paint you can get. Well, they range actually. I've seen some in Wilko's that are like £1 for 200, 300 millilitres, and then you'll get others that are this size or a little bit bigger, and they cost £4.99. You're like, well, what on earth is going on there? And then to go with the seasonal one, I also picked this up because I thought it was interesting. I don't know what it is. It's called Snowtex. I'm assuming it's some kind of texture snow stuff. So it says, apply with a brush, sponge, palette knife or other tool to create realistic dimensional effects. Where are my teeth? Such as snow, stucco, terrain, etc. Adheres to all surfaces, can be thinned with water, can be tinted with acrylics, dries permanently hard in 2 to 3 hours. Heavier build-up requires slightly longer drying time, cleans up with water. So yeah, that should be, I'm not going to open it because this stuff, not this stuff specifically, but anything textured, once you open it to the winds, it tends to be a little bit funny. It can go off very quickly. So I don't want to open it today and then come to it in December and find, oh, actually it's gone off. I would rather wait and use it in December and then tell you how long it lasts for. because I want to be able to use it. So yeah, that and that is for my Christmas theme. I thought we could do something for Yule, possibly in our Books of Shadows, or even I wonder if we could use this stuff on like a Christmas colouring page or something like that. That would be cool. This one is for a Halloween page I'm going to do with you, a Samhain page. And yes, it's glitzy and sparkly and gaudy, and I don't care. These will be good for just general use. I just wanted to try the Americana satins because I haven't tried them. And then I got these as well. Now, any of you who are Pinteresters will have seen the tutorial on how to clean the silver foil off a CD and turn them into glass hangings. Well, I thought that would be a really cool thing to do different colours for different sabbats. So you could have like a hanging thing for your altar that you could make yourself, really cheap. Nobody needs to know what it is if you need to keep it to yourself or whatever, and it'd just be really fun. So we've got the glass paints here, and these are translucent, obviously, because they go on glass. And we've got dark purple, a kind of indigo blue, a dark green, a yellow, which is kind of a golden yellow. It's comparable to that one, actually. That one might show up better on camera. A lovely orange colour that looks like marmalade, and a blood red that looks really cool. So those are very nice basic colours. And since these are also translucent but with glitter in, I thought if we've got any of these left over, we could use these as part of it, and you know, do designs in this and then decorate them with sparkles or something. Or if you've got stickles or something like that, you could use those too. Or, you know, whatever you like. If you don't like sparkles, you don't have to put sparkles on. But I thought they would be fun to do. Emma, no, the tutorials for deco arts are going to be part of my YouTube stuff. So I can't guarantee you when they're going to go up, except to say that the Halloween one will go up very soon. And the Christmas one will go up probably early December. And you'll see me, any of the live shows, I will probably start using some of my deco art paints, so you can actually see what they look like and how they work, and what you know, whether you think from what you see of using them, whether you think they're worth the money, or whether you think, oh, actually I could get away with the Crafters acrylic one, or no, actually I prefer my Anitas, they seem to do exactly the same thing. You know, whatever it is that you happen to do. I'm not here to sell you on deco arts products, okay? That is absolutely not. I'm not here to convince you to buy them. I'm simply going to use them and tell you if I think they're any good. They're for review purposes and for tutorials. And deco arts are providing me with the resources to do that. They are not paying me to tell you that they're wonderful products. However, I can tell you that of the deco arts products I have used, most of them have been worth the money. But they are on the cheaper range of things. So what I'm hoping is that these will be for those of us who want to build up a collection but can't necessarily afford the student grade colours, that these will be a good alternative. You know, over a period of time, you buy, you know, 1 or 2 pots here and there, and you end up with a range of several colours that you really like. Or you could start with something like this, and you could say, oh wow, I really love that one and that one. So you can get the names of them, you can purchase a bigger one. And what I've also got, because I wanted to see if their student grade stuff was as good as other student grade stuff, I got in my favourite colour, Phthalo Red, which is also known as alizarin crimson, also known as rose madder, but it's basically hot pink. I got the Deco Art student acrylic because I normally use the De La Rowney student acrylic, which is a comparable price. De La Rowney is a little bit more expensive, but not by much. These seem to be more geared towards people who use a lot of paint, whereas De La Rowney tends to be geared towards more fine art, I suppose. So students who work big or want to work on wall or whatever, because all of the deco art ones seem to be satin sheen and durable and used for a variety of surfaces, whereas the Daler Rowney ones, if you wanted to use them on fabric or something, you'd need to prep your fabric first, whereas this stuff you can just chuck it on fabric or plaster or wood or whatever and it will stick. So I'm going to open this one. Oh, look at that colour. Isn't that pretty? Oh, it's not translating on screen, but it is beautiful. It is a beautiful rose pink. It is rose madder. It is absolutely rose madder. I really like that. So I'll be playing with that because I use a lot of that colour. Black and white and rose pink, I go through it in spades. Okay, so, oh, let me just grab a bit of my coffee. Anybody got any questions? As far as getting discounts or anything for you guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get discounts. I may be able to. I'm new to it. I haven't really looked into what is available. I know I can get teacher packs, but not for everybody, obviously. And there are certain restrictions, like I can't send to certain countries. But I may be able to get, once I'm more settled and I start doing smaller classes, not like smaller classes, but not... When Frogs Sing is like a year-long class, I'm talking about classes that are like 3 or 4 weeks at a time. I may be able to get a few class packs to offer for students who can't get hold of the paints or whatever, or, you know, perhaps for giveaways or something like that. I need to talk to them and find out what's available. Did I find my glue sticks? Do you know, I turned over in bed this morning, there was one sitting on my bedside table. Oh... It's crazy. And I had another one here earlier and it's gone again. I don't know where it's gone. It was here. Oh, here you go. I cunningly put it away. This is it. I had about 15 and this is all I've got left. And the one next to my bed. It's mad. I need to get like shares in Crit Stick or something. Okay, let's do some arty stuff, shall we? This is the Book of Shadows that I have been using, that a lot of people also have. I know a lot of people bought it and said, before I got it, I might add, they didn't all follow me and then I said, oh no, it's rubbish. A lot of people already had it when I said I'd got it. I didn't buy it. I bought my wolf one. This one was a present. It takes gel inks beautifully. I've got rollerball pens that work beautifully on this. But it's that rag paper, which does not take water. The signatures are... There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures. And there's... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times 4 is 44, 56 times 5. So 260 something, 260 odd pages in this. Or sides, 260 odd sides, which would be about 130 pages or something. I think. I'm not good at maths. But this paper it's okay, but you have to be really careful what you use on it. Like, I inked all the edges here with distress ink, you know, the paper. Thank you, Tracy. Foxy's got the numbers. There you go. 280, 140 pages, 280 sides. I don't do maths. I'm an artist, okay? Art major. If you are interested in getting one of these, again, if you go to my website, romany.org.uk, if you're in the UK or the EU, listed in my A store at the top right-hand corner of my website is a book similar to this. They're called Indra books. They are a little bit expensive on Amazon. You're better off looking on eBay and getting them from India. They're a lot cheaper. And there is a girl in the UK who sells these in this size for, I think this one is about £14, something like that, which is a pretty good deal actually, even though the paper's rubbish. I shouldn't say that, the paper's not rubbish, it's just not ideal. It's perfectly fine for sticking stuff on, and like I said, I've got a rollerball pen that works just fine. It does not like pencil, graphite, because the texture is so rough. It is rag paper. So if you draw on it with a pencil, like this is a 0.5 lead, I like the 0.3. It gets stuck. Literally, it gets stuck. You can't draw smoothly on it. Sorry, something's just set my teeth on edge. Ooh. So on the one hand, I really like that it's, you know, it's old and battered, and it's got bits and pieces where, you know, you've got pages where it's like the end of the rag. So it's all torn up like this, or it's all folded up because it's been cut wrong, which I love. If you want an old looking book, that's what you want. You want all this kind of natural texture to turn up in it. But if you want to do art, it's not ideal. So I've got two options. Well, I've got three options. Find another book, obviously. My ear's just gone really deaf as well. I'm struggling a bit with my Meniere's at the moment, so if I'm shouting at you, let me know and I'll turn my mic down. Find another book, use this just for writing, stick stuff in it if you want to do art, or see if there's some way of treating the pages to get them to work. So what I thought I would do, because I did this is ink, and it killed my India ink pen. This was an India ink brush pen, and I swear it used most of the cartridge just doing her hair, and it's still not black, which I found really annoying. And it, you know, it just drank everything I gave it. I've tried pastels, I've tried all sorts of things. It just does not take media. It takes semi-wet media, like an ink pad. It takes ink pads beautifully. I used ink pads up here to do the... all these lines are done with ink pads. That's a sepia Ranger ink. You know, all that has come out beautifully. It writes nicely if you find the right pen. But you can't do art on it. And I want to make my... Oh, excuse me. Oh. This is why I've got coffee. I just yawned, I'm sorry. You're not boring me, I just... I just haven't finished my coffee yet. Let me have some more. So, yeah, several options. At the worst, I suppose I could take this apart and rebind it. And if I do that, I will show you how I do it. It may be a bit of trial and error, but it looks like a fairly simple binding for the 5 signatures. I think that should be easily replicated. I've not done this crisscross binding before, but it looks fairly simple. Just a case of going up and down in the right places and cutting your pages to the right size. So, could be able to do that, could be able to rebind it with watercolour paper, but obviously it won't have as many pages. And then I'd still be able to keep the outside of it, which is nice. Or I might get another book, even though this is beautiful, and just keep this for purely writing. But in the meantime, I've got nothing to lose by playing around with the paper. So I thought, is that it? Yes. I thought on these pages what I'd do, because this illustration didn't work very well anyway, I kind of want to take her out. And she folds round that way. So if I took this page out, the other half of it is up here somewhere. So I've got nothing to lose by playing with these. So what I've done is, this page I've put Which one was it? Clear gesso. Foxy, patience. It doesn't take fountain pen. Well, it does take fountain pen, but you put your fountain pen on it and it goes and it takes all your ink. It doesn't take fountain pen at all. And if you write with a fine fountain pen like I do, it's like using a mechanical pencil. It's just too rough. You can hear. See? It's just too rough. Which annoys me as well because I love using my dip pens. But I think what I may do is get another one of these because these babies are 475 pages. This is the Believe journal. Now, I have currently, because I used mine from June to September, I got halfway through and it started buckling. And with a bound book, ideally what you want to do is do kind of front, back, or front, middle, back, so that you put equal stress on the spine throughout. If you start at one end and work through, like you would with a journal, it tends to cause the spine to do this, and it buckles. It hasn't come away, that's how it was to start with. But obviously you can see that half of the spine is buckled. So rather than force it to continue doing that, I took the book and I turned it upside down, and I've started from the other side with October. So I'm doing October, November, December, and hopefully it should meet somewhere in the middle. And if it doesn't, then I'm quite happy to leave the spare pages just for notes or drawings or sketches or whatever, or just writing. But I don't want to break the spine on this, I don't want to kill it, but I want to see how much it can take. Obviously turning it upside down is not ideal, but it is a quarter, so it is like 3 months of the year and 3 months of the year, so I'm okay with that. But with these being 475 pages, that's a lot of pages. A lot of pages. These books, I found out, are specifically made for Bible journalers. Hence the Believe quote. It's got, I believe that the most beautiful thing is worth waiting for, and the sweetest fruit needs patience. It doesn't actually say waiting for, it says waiting, because it's obviously Chinglish. But yeah, it's got a nice quote on the front, so it's good for a spiritual book of any kind, really. And if you're just doing, you know, Bible journaling or whatever, this takes media, this takes fountain pen. I've not had any problems with anything I've put on it. Some people have had problems. I think it depends how wet your fountain pen is, perhaps. But this paper is beautiful. It's so smooth. It's lovely to draw on. It's really nice. So at a push, I'll get another one of these and I'll just transfer what's in here into here, because my writing's tiny anyway. So it's not like I'm going to fill up the entire book in a week. But in the meantime, let's see. This paper is really dry and it's setting my teeth on edge. Let me find my hand cream. I have a bit of an issue with dry paper. Sponge paper, yeah, literally. It does absorb like a sponge. I'll show you in a minute. But first I have to put some cream on my hands because the paper is setting my teeth on edge. Because it's that rough and dry. I have that issue with paper anyway, so it's not the book necessarily, it's just probably just me. Okay, so and for those who are always asking me, where do you get your rings, etc., etc., I mostly buy from individual craftsmen. So don't ask me where I get my rings because they all come from different places. You can't just pop onto silversmiths.com and find some of the stuff that I've got. Okay, so this has clear gesso on it. Now it changed the texture of the paper. The texture of this paper, it's rough but it's soft. It's kind of like velvet. It's got that texture to it, but it's soft. This side is more like sandpaper. Fine sandpaper, but sandpaper nonetheless. And then this one I've put workable fixative on to see if that would make any difference. I don't think it will, because workable fixative is water soluble. As soon as you put water on it, it'll disintegrate. It's for fixing layers, it's not for protecting what's underneath. It's not a base. It's just for fixing stuff that is smudgeable. So I don't think that will work, but we can try it. So I think since that is ruined anyway, I'm just going to paint on here and see what happens. This is with gesso, so I need to find my, oh, honestly, if you saw my desk right now, can we use those? There's my water brush. I don't use a water brush with acrylics, I always use a proper wet brush. No, washable brush, normal brush, that's the word I'm looking for. But I do like my water brush for my watercolours. So there's my watercolours. These are the Sakura Koi watercolours. It's the 24 set, I think. They're beautiful. I love these watercolours. I don't know why people say they're not very good. I suppose if you've got Daniel Smith watercolours, maybe they're not very good, but they're certainly good for what I do. Although I do have a set of Daniel Smith watercolours, but I use those for commissions. So I'm just going to take some of this paint and see how it works. Now, except for the fact that it feels really horrible to write on, it's like writing on an emery board, it's actually taking it very well. It's much better than when I used the ink on it before. It would still be too rough for a fountain pen. I wonder if you smoothed it off, if it would be okay for a fountain pen. I think if you smoothed it off, it would just take off the surface and you'd just have gesso in the grooves and paper in the bumps, and then it would be kind of a hybrid. But this certainly seems to be better. Let's get a bit of a wash. Oh, I should change my water before I came up. Let's try, I like that colour, let's use that colour. This is basically what I do with any paper that I get. I just play with it and see what happens when I use certain things. I do get a lot of people saying things like, oh, I've got a plain moleskin and I've got these set of acrylic paints. Can I use the acrylic paints in my moleskin? And I try not to say things like, well, I don't know. Why don't you open your paints and find out? You know, because I know that comes across as sarcastic, but in reality, that's what you need to do. If you want to know if something works, you've got to go and try it. Because even if it works for me, it might not work for you. Which water brush do I use? This is the Zig Sakura water brush. Not Sakura, the Zig Kuretake water brush. If you go on my website, romany.org.uk, and go to A store, you will find them listed. There is a set of 4 different ones in different sizes. This is the small, there is a medium, a wash brush, and a square brush like this, but not this big. They're really good. They don't leak at all. I really like them. So I'm just going to use a wash on this and see what happens. Now obviously, because this is watercolour on gesso, it's not ideal. Watercolour on gesso will not work like watercolour on watercolour paper, and it will take a little while to dry, and it will pool. However, it's not going on that badly. If you just want to do a quick illustration, I mean, it is seeping through in places. You see how the water's seeping through? But that's where I put my brush down first when it was very, very wet. Let's see if we can do a gradient wash. Let's try a bit of orange, shall we? Brenda's back. Yes, the A store on my site is for UK and EU. If you're in the Americas, I was going to say, if you're in America, go to journalartista.com. She's got an A store as well, and that's for American purchases. So I'm just putting another colour down here. See if I can kind of blend the two without corrupting the paper. The thing with watercolour is you don't really want to overwork the paper, but the thing with watercolour is that most people overwork the paper. So it's no good me sitting here and saying, well, you know, I can get it to work, if you're not going to be able to get it to work because you don't have the skills, because you're not watercolour artists. Or if somebody else is going to come along and say, well, I can do it like this, I don't know why you're having trouble with that, because they use watercolour all the time. You know, everybody's at different levels of learning. And what one of us may be able to do, others may not. So you see how it's seeping through in the paper, even with gesso on it. And I put a good coating of gesso on this. It's seeping through to the other side, you see. But it is taking the watercolour. Whereas before, every time I went near it with a watercolour brush, you see what happens? The water disappears. Gone. It is thirsty paper, and it's soaked right the way through to the other side and onto this page. That's what happens with fountain pen. It does exactly the same thing. So I'm going to try, let me grab, I don't really want to open this just yet because I've got a feeling I'll lose all these little pots if I don't open them properly and label them. Oh, I'll use my big pot of pink, shall I? Use my big pot of pink here. Grab an acrylic brush. There's an acrylic brush. Somebody will ask, for the acrylic brushes, I like these. These are the white, well, it was originally white. The white fibred acrylic brushes, because they're quite soft and fluffy, but they're very thick at the base, so they give you a good feel to them. When it comes to watercolour brushes, I like the Taklon hair ones, which are these, which are kind of a golden colour, which feel very similar, but these are longer, so they're softer and fluffier, and these are shorter, so they're a bit stiffer. And I get these, for those of you in the UK, I buy these for a 12 set in WH Smith's for £2.50 when they go on offer. Because I don't care if they only last me a couple of months, they're £2.50 for a set of 12. I've never seen the point in having really expensive brushes. Mostly because I tend to just leave them in the water most of the time anyway, and then they're ruined. So, let's move my watercolours out of the way. Grab a bit of paper. Whoops. See? That's what happens. I leave them in the paper, in the water, and then that's it. Bam! Maddie, what are you doing? Oh, you got your bone? Okay, if you can hear weird slurpy chewing noises in the background, it's Maddie. She's found her bone. We call it the zombie bone because we keep thinking it's dead and it keeps coming back. Just when you think it's dead, it unburies itself. Okay, that'll do for now. Guess I'm going to have to buy another one of these. But again, these are about like 50p. Now there's various people will tell you different things about using acrylics. Personally, I like to use a damp brush. To the point where when you rub it on your skin, you can feel it's wet, but it's not leaving any water. That's how I like to do it. Others say, no, 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 you should always use a dry brush and flow medium. I do like to use flow medium. Various other things, but personally I like the get your brush wet, dip it in the water, make sure it's clean, dab it on a piece of paper towel, and then off you go. That's what I do. I'm not saying that's right, I'm saying it's what I do, and it works for me. So let's see how this takes acrylic on the gesso. It's very, very thirsty, even on the gesso, but it is going on nicely. It's going on very evenly. Because of the texture of the paper, I mean, you can see the texture of the paper, it's a bit like dry brushing. But depending on which way you paint, if you paint sideways, you get the texture, and if you paint vertically, it goes with the warp of the paper, sorry, not paint. That's alright, actually. This paint feels nice as well. It's not ideal using a new paint on a new piece of paper, but whatever. I'm going to try the acrylic on the untreated paper and see if it works the same. Actually, it's going on the untreated paper a lot better, but my goodness, it feels smoother going on, but that would take a lot of paint. Doesn't spread as easily at all, which is the purpose of gesso, by the way. The purpose of gesso is to make very, very, very porous paper not quite so porous, but still porous enough that it works the way it's supposed to. So yeah, for acrylic, this would definitely want a coat of gesso. And the clear gesso, that's the word I'm looking for. The clear gesso seems to work fine. This is stretching the paper where it's absorbing the paint. Oh, and look, it's gone through to the other side. Am I surprised? No. This side, nothing. So the rag paper works better with both watercolour and acrylic so far with gesso than with nothing. That brush is dead. I think I'm going to have to... Oh, there you go. Got water on the edge. Boom! It just blooms. That's what happens if you get ink anywhere near it or anything like that. It just blooms and it goes through to the next page and the next page. Even with gesso, it seems to buckle with water, so you'd have to be careful of that. And it's still wet now, so it's not going to dry anytime soon. I suspect as well, if you put something on the back of here that was water soluble, this is India ink, so it's not water soluble, but if you used water soluble something on the back of this, I suspect this would go all spludgy as well, because there's nothing stopping the water soaking through the paper. So let's try something else. Let's try, what do we have in our little box of tricks? We have, oh, matte medium. This is Liquitex Professional matte medium. I prefer golden matte medium, but golden matte medium is expensive and I go through it at a rate of knots. So I buy the Liquitex one. It's not quite as good for sticking stuff, but for general use it's very good. It works fine for collage. You have to use a little bit more of it, but since it's about 1/8 of the price of golden and it's much easier to get in the UK, that's what I use. Again, go look in my A-store if you want to get the link for it, that's fine. So there's my matte medium. I'm going to put a little bit more so I can test a few more bits. It's soaking up the matte medium like crazy. Even with a damp brush, which I wouldn't normally use with matte medium, it's just into the paper. I think, even though you could treat this paper, it's probably not worth it, the amount of stuff you would have to use to treat it. I mean, I suspect the matte medium will work fine because once it dries, it's waterproof. It's not porous at all. So in theory, with matte medium, you should be able to use ink and everything over the top. It will just take a long time to dry. But I think for the amount you'd have to use, I mean, you saw how much I used there, and I don't normally use that much on a whole page of collage. So it's possibly not worth it. It would possibly be better to, or more cost effective, to invest in some new paper and rebind this book completely, or get another book. But we shall see. Let me find my heat gun and speed this process up a little bit. I'm going to have to plug it in. Oh, there's wires everywhere. Wires everywhere. It's not pretty. It's not pretty and it's not practical. Oh, I've got to sort that out. Right, I'm going to mute the sound while I heat gun this a second. Okay. Have you tried the gel sticks on it? No, not yet. That's something I will try in a second. So I've dried that off. The gel medium has completely warped the paper, which it shouldn't do because it's not that wet, but it's sucked up so much of it. You wouldn't even be able to write comfortably on the back of it. The paint, you probably can't see on camera, but it has changed the colour of the paint, putting it straight onto the paper. Now I don't know whether that's because it picked up some of the distress stain, because that distress stain is water soluble. And I know that when you wet it, it comes up. So I may have picked up some of the distress stain, or it may have affected the colour of the paint, I'm not sure. But certainly the colour of the paint is more true on the gessoed piece. But this feels nice and like there's nothing on the paper, and this feels like you could file your nails on it, frankly. Yeah, you could actually file your nails on it. The watercolour has dried, it looks okay, it feels horrible, but it has worked, except for the fact that it's bled through in a couple of places to the back. So I think if you were going to use watercolour, you might be able to get away with it for the odd illustration here and there. Just like, you know, if you were going to do a small box, gesso your little box, do whatever else you're going to do on the page, draw your little illustration, watercolour it, leave it to dry. You might be able to get away with that. But you're certainly not going to be able to do... Hello, Jill. You're certainly not going to be able to do whole pages of arty stuff like I like to do, because I like to do things like this on a whole page. You know, there's no way I could do this on this page. For a start, this is Jelly Roll pens, and they just, you know how they're raised when you dry them? Yeah, on this paper they just into the page. It's gone flat. The glitter comes off. There is glitter on it. Yeah, it just wouldn't work, basically. And the texture with coloured pencils is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Let me get my... the dark pencil. This is a Prismacolor black, and a Prismacolor black would normally go on very evenly. Let's do it. Where did I put the matte medium? Is there. So a Prismacolor black would normally go on nice and smooth. Now if you like texture, this is great. But there is texture all over the stuff. And it's wearing down my pencil. My pencil's gone completely flat just from doing that. So yeah, doesn't take pencil very well. Can you adhere two of the pages together to make them stronger or thicker? Well, yeah, but it won't affect the paper. There's a common misconception that if you take thin or bad or cheap paper or whatever, paper that doesn't take watercolour or whatever, and stick two pages together, therefore it will be okay to take media. The thickness of the paper has nothing to do, by and large, with what media it can take. The weave of the paper is important. Watercolour paper is woven, and it's usually double woven, so it's kind of two that way, and then two under, two over, two under, two over, like that. Which is why when you get one side of the paper wet, sorry if you already know this, Ash, but I know there's other people here who don't. When you get one side of the paper wet, the top of those bits get wet, so this top piece here gets wet, but that bit underneath won't, because this is protecting it. So this will stretch, and that's what causes your paper to buckle. And that's why, in order to get your paper to straighten out again, the best thing to do is to get it equally wet on the other side. Because if this is stretched like that, what you need to do is stretch the other side to equal it. So instead of bending backwards, it bends forward and goes flat. See? The same will happen with glue. So whatever glue you use, if you use a wet glue, you're going to cause the two pages to buckle the wrong way and force the fibres apart from each other. But it's still not going to do anything for the fibres on top. The fibres on top are still going to soak up water because they're not, it's not just bleeding through like a Copic or an alcohol marker, it's bleeding into the paper. It's spreading like this. So you put on a small amount of water and it blooms that way. So even if you make one side of it waterproof, like this, the gesso side is waterproof, basically, because although gesso is a porous substance, it's protecting the paper. But anywhere that you don't have enough gesso, you're still going to get water going in, and it's going to spread. Now, by contrast, Tomo River paper, or the Midori lightweight watercolour paper, not watercolour paper, it's not watercolour paper, it's the Midori lightweight refill 013, is about the texture and thinness of deli paper. But you know what? I have not found anything except alcohol markers and inks that it cannot handle. It can take acrylic, it can take... The only things it doesn't like I say, is alcohol inks and alcohol markers, which no paper does. The only paper that likes that is alcohol-based paper, or paper that has been given a special coating to take alcohol markers. It will bleed through anything. But even then, if I use an alcohol marker on this, it won't just... I don't think I've got a dark enough one to show you. Have I got a black here? Oh, there's a black. Let's see if this works. Might not work for what I'm trying to show you. But if you draw on nice, glossy alcohol paper, you'll get a nice crisp outline. If you draw on regular paper, like this, it'll bleed down and it will feather slightly to the outsides. So it'll start off as a nice clean outline and you'll think, oh yes, that's great. And in a couple of days you'll come back to it and go, oh, where's my nice clean outline gone? Because in the time it's taken to dry, the alcohol has spread. And as soon as you put two colours together, you'll start getting the alcohol, almost like an alcohol bloom around the outside. So you won't just have the black and then blended into a brown. You'll have the black blended into a brown, and then you'll, in the middle here, where you've got too much alcohol, you'll have a bloom in the paper that'll look almost like a grease spot. And it's not, it's the excess alcohol bleeding across into the paper or blooming out through the paper. But it's going sideways, it's not going down. Bleed is this, when it physically comes through the paper. Ghosting is when you can see it through the paper but it hasn't come through. So this part is ghosted, and that is bleed. Okay? You can see the colour on the other side as if you'd drawn it on that side. That is bleed. This, you can see that you've drawn something on the side. That is ghosting. And this, where it's now coming out, where it's come down and it's now spreading out through the fibres of the paper, that's blooming. And it's similar to wax bloom, where you're building up layers, particularly with Prismacolors. You build up layers to the point where you can't use put any more layers on because it's too shiny. But it's basically saturating the paper to the point where the wet media has nowhere else to go but sideways. Now, if I use an alcohol marker on this, I dread to think what's going to happen. It's either going to be fine or it's going to be absolutely dreadful. You know, I don't like the new shape of these Spectrum Noirs. I've got the old Spectrum Noirs that are square. These are I think they're hexagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, these are hexagonal. I've got the square ones, and these are so hard to get the lids off. I don't like it. And they feel chunky. They're like using jumbo markers. I've got little pudgy gnome hands. I don't want big chunky markers. Anyway, I'm going to do it this way because the gesso on this page and that acrylic paint will have protected this bit of paper a little bit. So in theory, this shouldn't bleed through onto the next page and the next page and the next page. But that is just really lightly. That's not even with as much pressure as I used on the regular paper. And that is saturated. And it's spreading. It's feathering. You won't be able to see it on camera, I don't think. I don't think the stream is that good. You might see it on the replay in the HD version, but I don't think you're going to see it on the camera. But that is spreading sideways through the paper. If I come back to that in a couple of hours when it's dried properly, there will be no... I doubt very much there will be even marks on the edges. And if you're not hardly touching your pen to the paper and it's still saturating, that means you've got leach happening. And leach is basically thirst. You know what a leech is, right? A leech is something that sticks onto you and sucks your blood. Well, that's what the paper's doing. It's leaching the ink out of the pen. Which is why you can't use a fountain pen on this, and why you can't use, why it killed my India ink brush pen. That was a brand new cartridge, and it used the whole cartridge just doing that hair. And those cartridges last for months. So, leaching is where the paper is basically going with whatever media you're putting into it. It's physically dragging like a sponge. And as soon as you get that, you're going to be wasting more media than you're going to be using, than you would want to use. Now, this has bled through completely onto this page, but it's covered by acrylic paint, and acrylic paint is basically plastic, which means it's waterproof. So although this page is now ruined, for want of a better word, because, you know, say you've painted a beautiful picture on this side in acrylic and you turn over and you think, oh yeah, I'll use my alcohol markers, da-da-da. Well, now you've just ruined this page. But it hasn't bled through to this page because that is not bleed through the paint. It's bleed through the back of the paper. If you think of it in layers. So you've got, here's your paper, and here's your layer of acrylic paint, and here's your pen going in, and it goes through the paper. But when it hits the water-soluble acrylic, the waterproof layer of acrylic, it stops. And it will stain that side of the acrylic, and it might even bloom underneath it, but it's not coming through because the plastic in the acrylic won't allow that alcohol to go through. It'll allow it to show through, which is basically the same as ghosting. So what we've got here is the paper has absorbed so much ink that the ink has bled through to this side, but the acrylic paint on top has stopped it coming through the paint. So the paint is literally on top. That's why it hasn't come through to this page. If we'd done it on a patch where it didn't have any acrylic paint on the back, I dread to think what would have happened. I think it probably would have soaked through 3 or 4 pages. But the thickness of the paper and sticking it together and all that kind of stuff, it really doesn't do very much. The sticking together thing came from people doing altered books and saying, oh, this is really thin paper. I know what I'll do. I'll stick it together instead of taking pages out. Which for an altered book is great. It works a treat. Because in altered books, very often you're adding collage, you're adding heavy elements. When they first started back in early 2000, when it suddenly became the in thing to do, a lot of it was using embellishments, and an awful lot of it was scrapbookers using heavy embellishments. Now, if you're using heavy embellishments, yes, sticking 2 or even 3 or 4 pages together is a great idea, because what you want is thicker paper. You're essentially going from, you know, regular paper through to basil cardstock, if you like, just by adding thickness. Cardstock, especially like white core cardstock is the easiest to explain, is basically layers of paper with a pattern on the top and a pattern on the bottom and layers of paper in between that are pressed together so hard that it appears to be one piece of paper or card. Sometimes they're woven together like the basil stuff in kind of a canvas way. But this paper, this is rag paper. Rag paper is made from pulp, and it is literally pulped wood with various other binders and things stuck into a sieve-like contraption, squashed down till all the water comes out, rolled through a roller until every single bit of water comes out, hung up to dry, and Bob's your uncle, you've got paper. So when you tear this, it's not going to tear in a straight line. Most paper tears in a straight line, one way at least. Some of it doesn't tear both ways, it depends on the weave. Watercolor paper, for instance, if you take a piece of watercolor paper, it's not so noticeable on this kind of paper, but watercolor paper, it will, if you take it that way and press it, there'll be no resistance. But if you take it this way and press it, there'll be more resistance. Oh, it is actually on this. Yeah, there is some more resistance. So it will be easier to tear this way than this way, because that's the grain of the paper. It's a bit like, to oversimplify it, it's a bit like looming. You know, when you've got a loom and a shuttle, well, your grain is the vertical strands, and your weave is the shuttle. This doesn't have a grain. This is, let me find that page. Look, where it's all rough. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me put my phone underneath so it's black. Can you see? This is not woven paper. If you pulled this, got it wet and pulled it, it'll come off in chunks like cheap toilet paper. It will disintegrate. Toilet paper disintegrates in water because it has no weave. It's just paper mashed together and let dry. Whereas kitchen towel has a weave, and it's literally knitted together. It's like a knit washcloth. So it can absorb a lot more water. And it cannot break apart when you use it. Whereas toilet paper is specifically designed that once you put it in water, it disintegrates. So the thickness of the paper, getting back to the original question, is neither here nor there, really. On average, if you've got thicker paper, it should take some wet media a little bit better, but it doesn't guarantee that it will. This paper is thicker, for instance, than this paper. It's a lot thicker, it's about 3 times the thickness. But this paper is rubbish for just about everything. This paper takes everything I've thrown at it. It even likes Copics. The Copics, if you use Copics on one page, it will bleed right through to this page and onto this page. However, you will have the exact same image on this side and on this side. That's how truly it bleeds. It doesn't feather, it doesn't ghost, it doesn't bloom in the middle of the paper. It literally goes from one side to the other. That is the mark of a good quality paper. This is Japanese. Japanese paper, best in the world. I don't care what anybody says about paper made anywhere else. The Japanese know what they're doing when they're talking about thin paper. I do have videos. If you go back in my video list and look for my Midori art journal videos, most of them are done on the 013 very, very, very thin paper. I don't think I've got any to hand. Let me just check. No, that's a regular one. But it feels like deli paper. You know what deli paper feels like. It feels and looks like deli paper. It's even see-through. But that can take acrylic paint, watercolor, ink, everything. Except alcohol, because alcohol will seep through anything that doesn't have the right glaze on it. But all you've got to do is make sure that if you're using watercolor, that you pin your paper down and hold it flat while it dries. And if it buckles, it doesn't really matter, because it's like this. This was really buckled when I started. Now it's flattened out and it's okay. The weight of this book, once it's closed, will flatten it out, and next time I open it, it'll be flat. So it won't matter. It's not going to be like ripply, ripply, ripply. It's just, it'll flatten out on its own. It also takes acrylic as long as you're not doing too many layers. So you couldn't do layer, 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 like a lot of people do art journaling. But if you're just colouring something, or doing a single layer, or even one or two layers, as long as you let them dry in between, you won't have any problem. Paper is fascinating, Emma. Buzz Lightyear paper, it bleeds to infinity and beyond. I'm going to have to remember that. Oh. Ah, you're a paper crafter. Right, okay. So you do like bookbinding and album making and things like that. Yeah, I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. I'm okay at it, but it's not my area. Wet media is more my area, and throwing lots of things on a page and seeing what sticks. Anyway, we're almost out of time. I think I've got, I don't know if the recording will automatically cut off. If it will, I've got 40 seconds. If it doesn't, I've got however long it takes me to do this and try it and see if it works. So this is on gel medium. I'm using the same acrylic paint. And yeah, the gel medium's made no difference, frankly. It spreads a little bit easier, not needing so much paint. You see that? I used the same amount of paint and I only got that much with the real paper. But I got loads out of this gel medium bit, so it's more economical for paint, but it didn't go on as well as it did over the gesso. So, doesn't look like it's going to cut me off. This is good. That means I get to finish what I was saying. With these rag paper books, it looks like if you can stand the texture, then you can use watercolour, you can use light washes, and you can use some acrylic with a damp brush over. Probably you could use white, but white was too contrasting with the paper because the paper is not white by any stretch of the imagination. I would suggest, if you want to use this for, you know, just doing a little decorative bit or the occasional watercolour title or whatever, some clear gesso, paint it on where you want it, let it dry completely, and then go over it with your watercolours and then dry that. Bear in mind that watercolour over gesso will react differently to watercolour on watercolour paper, and it will take longer to dry. So you can get away with that, but frankly that is more energy than I'm prepared to commit to the subject. As the guy in Tomb Raider said, it's a little bit more than I'm prepared to commit to this project. So I think I will probably take these pages out And I may spend some time with my original book of shadows that I've had since I was like 14. Obviously it's got some old stuff in that's not relevant. I may go through with my original plan of just pulling out the written parts from that and copying them into this, which I can do at my leisure when I feel like it. Copy them in. It takes, like I say, it takes rollable and gel pen reasonably well, as long as you get the right pen. It takes stamping inks. This is the Ranger Archival ink. So you can stamp with it, you can do things like that. You can't really draw on it, although you can draw with your rollable pen, obviously. I suggest, if you're going to draw on it rough, then you do use something very light, like a very hard, like a 2 or 3H pencil. Oh no, I forgot to do those. I'll do those in a second, Emma. Use a very soft, a very hard, that won't leave a lot of graphite on the page, but very, very rounded. So when it's almost down to a stump and it really needs sharpening, draw with that. Because the other thing you can't do with this paper is erase on it. Don't even think about it. You even try to erase on this paper, it just comes off. So this is mostly, I would use this for writing in, basically, and occasional bits of stamping. Again, you want to use permanent ink, and it probably will bleed through a little bit. It takes glue okay. I used dry glue for this, just regular Pritt stick type, this stuff. Dry glue, stick glue. What's it called? Glue stick, there we go, that's the word. I just used regular glue stick. So you could do scrapbooking type stuff in it and things like that. And I've put, I think that is actually a transfer. Yeah, it is. It's, what do they call them? A rub-on transfer. So you could use like rub-on alphabets and things if you've got those left over from your scrapbooking. So it can be useful, but it's not going to be useful for doing a lot of art in like this, which is what I want to do in my book. If you are quite happy to do this kind of stuff where you stick things in, then no problem. It will take glue fine. But again, don't use a wet glue, because you'll have the wet glue seeping through to the back and then you'll stick 2 pages together. And these colours, I actually did these colours with Conte pencils. Now, it wears your Conte pencils down horrendously, but it does work. Let me grab the gel sticks. Now, these gel sticks are just cheapo ones. These are Gesso gel sticks. I suspect that what will happen is they'll go on okay, but when you try to smudge them, it will take the surface of the paper off. But we'll give it a try. Because what I like to do is, you know, you could paint a little patch to write on, because that's waterproof now, so you could use ink on it. It'll take a while to dry, but you could use ink on it. And then you could, you know, go round it with your gel sticks. These are very similar to gelatos, but they're not water soluble. They feel like gelatos, but they're just cheapo kids crayons from Gesso. Yeah, they smudge better with the grain of the paper, but not against it. So sideways is against the grain of the paper, and it's not smudging well. But this way, it smudges nicely. You'd have to work at it a little bit. But yeah, you could use these. You could get away with that if that's all you wanted to do. Just, you know, the odd box or outline, or, you know, even edging your paper like I did. This was Ranger Distress pads. Distress ink pads. And I did the old, you know, where you get your ink pad and you go like this along the edges of the paper. That's how I did it. But again, it went through a lot of ink. I ended up refilling my ink because of that. So there you go. That is that's the rag paper. Yeah, overall, I think with clear gesso, prepped and then left to dry. Not just dry, but cure. So I would prep this page and then come back to it tomorrow. You need to leave gesso at least 24 hours to get it to cure properly. Otherwise it's not really dry or not really set. It's dry, but it's not set. So I would prep this the day before and then come back to it and just use small amounts here and there. You could get away with that, I think. But you don't want to be doing something on the back of something else. I would always work on this side of the page so that when you've done this side, you can look at that side and say, oh, crikey, that's all bled through. I better stick something over the top of that. That's what I do with any journal. I always do media that I'm not sure about on this side, or if I know it's going to go through, I do it on this side, and then once I look at this page I can decide what I'm going to do with it. Now that wouldn't bother me in particular. I would write over that quite happily, but that would annoy the heck out of some people because it really is quite bad. It's quite ripply. So, you know, you might think, oh, well, you know, I'll just stick something over the top of there and nobody will know any different. Or you could do a collage on this page or whatever. That would be my recommendation for this type of paper. And in the meantime, use it as a writing journal with a gel pen. You'll have to test different gel pens. Some gel pens are better than others. The rollerball gel pens is what I use. I don't know what they're called in other parts of the world. I don't know if they're the same thing or something else. But ours are rollerball, they're liquid ink. Maped! That's the name. Gesso is Maped in other countries. That's the name of them. And they've got a different thing. These are DJECO, Gesso, and they've got handprint design. And Maped have exactly the same design on theirs, but it says designed by Maped. And there is a water-soluble version of these. They're pretty good, actually. I like them for edging bits of collage, because on slightly shiny paper they work beautifully. Right, that's it. I was only going to do 2 hours today, and we've done 2 hours and 10 minutes with a little bit of messing around at the beginning. So I think that is our lot for today. Has anybody got any questions before I go? Anybody got any questions about classes and things? Don't forget that When Frogs Sing sign-ups are available on my website, romany.org.uk, if you want to come and do those. This is the stuff that we're going to be doing next year in When Frogs Sing. Not just this kind of stuff, but drawing, painting, mixed media, collage, things like that. Have we still got Di in the house? Is she still here? Di is one of my featured artists next year. I don't do, with my classes, I don't do like a lot of other people do. I don't do half the class myself and have somebody else do like 25 lessons or whatever. I do the whole class myself, but I take a month off in the middle. I take July off because you can't work 12 months of the year. It's not feasible. So I have 3 artists coming in for July to take you for a week each. We've got Claire Horner, who you'll know as Got Paint in My Hair. She works for Ice Resin Designs, and she used to work for Indigo Blue and things like that. She's done all sorts of stuff. She is going to be doing 3D assemblage collage with you. I've got Miss Packer Dye coming to do paper collage. And I've got Mrs. Brimbles, Anna Brim, is coming to do some painting. A little bit more whimsical style painting than you would normally get in my drawing classes. So a nice range for people to have a little bit of a break while I'm off. I think that's it. I'm not getting any questions, so I think I'm going to sign off. If you do have any questions, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find me as @Romany everywhere, except here, where I'm Romany's Realm, because somebody had taken Romany already. Yeah, Foxy's already signed up. I think Amy's already signed up. Nikki's not signed up yet. Yeah, there's quite a few people. Patty's with us already. Sally. Quite a few people already in there, keen to get going. And for those who are a bit worried about whether it's going to be suitable for beginners or not, all of my classes are suitable for beginners, but they're also suitable for more advanced people. You know, if you don't know, we don't all know everything there is to know about everything. That's not what I meant to say. You can be a beginner at one thing, but more advanced at something else. Like Pack a Die, I don't think Pack a Die would be taking a class by somebody else in how to collage. Pack a Die should be doing her own class in how to collage, because she's really good at it. But she might not be quite so good at, say, watercolour painting. I have no idea if she's good at watercolour painting. I've never seen her do it. But she might not be so good at that because she might not have tried it so much. Trying to persuade him indoors you need to take the class. Yeah, go on. Tell him Santa's buying it you for Christmas. There is an option for payment plans this year as well. So, again, check out my website. It's under classes. There is a 3-month payment plan, which if you sign up before Halloween, it's cheaper, but you can still sign up later on as well. Because I don't think people should be prohibited from taking classes just because they can't pay for it all in one go. That's silly. And it's all done through PayPal, so it's all automatic billing and everything. Right, so I will head off. A couple of people have asked me about Periscope, actually. I do want to keep doing Periscopes, and I would like to hop on occasionally and just, you know, do bits and pieces of what I'm doing, but my phone cannot cope with it. It overheats. Literally overheats in a matter of minutes, even watching somebody else Periscope, and it kills my battery. And there is no way I can have my phone overheating and plugged in while I Periscope. So until I get another phone or upgrade or whatever, I can't Periscope, or until they fix the app so it doesn't overheat things. I haven't tried it on my iPad, my tablet rather. I guess I should, because my tablet runs a lot cooler than my phone. So I might try one at some point and see if it works on my tablet, because my tablet runs at about 47 degrees, where my phone runs at 102. Yeah, the payment plan is, I can't remember exactly how much it is, because there's various different payment plans, but it's usually about £30 a month, something like that. £33 a month. It works out exactly the same amount, but it's cheaper. And there's also the option, because it's technically 4 sections, you could sign up for the first section and then sign up for the second section later on. You know, and just pay for the sections as and when you've got time to do them or you want to do them. So you could sign up now for the first section, but you could sign up for the second section in, you know, this time next year if you wanted to. There's lots of different options for signing up. And like I say, if you've got any questions, just hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Email me, romany@gmail.com, and I will be happy to help. This is my Wednesday Addams smile. And with that, I'm going. Au revoir. See you next time, and thank you very much for joining me. Bye.